I'm Michelle Blue.
I'm a millennial entrepreneur and started a business just 2 weeks after graduating college.
It's my life and I don't even know. Okay.
Each week, I'm interviewing an entrepreneur, getting a real look at their stories.
The reason why it was challenging because there's no set path for entrepreneurship.
At the lessons, the sacrifices along their journey.
And leadership is hard, and you have to live at home, and entrepreneurship is not easy.
So, for the fellow entrepreneur, hopeful entrepreneur, or whatever path you decided to take in life, just know that the beauty lies within the journey.
Watching?
The journey.
The journey. All right, I'm going to leave you watching. All right.
Millennial entrepreneur.
Garrett, oh my God. So first of all, I didn't think I was going to get you here because you're like all over the place. You're always traveling. But I remember we met when I was still in college. And you were like, first of all, you were being celebrated for 40 under 40, which was amazing. And then like so many other things. You're just like Atlanta socialite. Like you are everywhere. Like, and you always have like a crew of people that's like following you. And so I'm like, oh, he's so cool. And I know this summer we got together. Dinner was amazing. And you were like, oh, we have similar stories. You was like, there's so much of you that reminds me of me. I was like, oh, shoot, I want to know what that is. Hopefully it's good. Because you're obviously the coolest guy in Atlanta these days. But tell me your story, you know, because again, we only see Gigi, the suits, which is why I had to come with it. You know, I've been in like jeans and shirts recently, and I was like, nah, I already know. Like, I need to look, you know, 10 times better for this. But anyway, so give me your story. How did you even start this? Start with Global Lead and, you know, in school.
Yeah. And so I love where you started because you always get to see the flash and the fun and like it works now and the fun suit and the personality or whatever the parties.
Yeah.
But it comes from like a long journey of things not working.
Right, for sure.
And a long journey of like not having it figured out, not really knowing what you're doing. I think we were joking it before. It's like, I feel like people half the time don't really know what they're doing with entrepreneurship. And I'm like, actually, I think people most of the time don't know what they're doing with entrepreneurship.
No clue.
So my journey, literally, to today, where you get to fly in from South Africa and go to Cuba, and it sounds fancy and cool, is from like lots and lots of mistakes along the way. Yeah. It actually started with having, and my big thing, if all of the people watching your show, your interview series can take one thing away, is courage. Mm-hmm. It's like having the courage to actually do what you want to do in life. And I always say it really comes down to moments, and that's like 10 seconds of insane courage. Yeah. Like in those moments, we have the courage to do what you want to do.
I love that.
10 seconds of insane courage.
That's all you get.
That's all you get, 10 seconds. Like I think life happens in moments. We don't always know what we're going to do. We don't always do the right thing. Yeah. But in that moment, we have 10 seconds of insane courage to do it. And so if you look back at my life that got to today, it's been all of these like 10 seconds of insane courage moments where I chose kind of courage over comfort. Yeah. Courage over comfort, courage over comfort. And so in school, I always thought I would go into politics. I like dressing up, like having the personality, always thought that. I was student body president at Georgia. Yeah. Big school, 30,000 people. You're the president. You think you kind of like want to go into politics. I did it for 1 year and said, absolutely not. Like, no politics. I don't want to do that anymore. No more JFK. Forget about that life. What am I going to do next? Yeah. And then I was a business major. Thought, you know, oh, maybe I can go to like a really good business school one day, do investment banking, all this. And so the summer before I graduated, all my like, you know, fun friends that were doing like finance were going to New York City. I had never been out of the country, never had a passport, never done anything. Really? Never traveled at all. Okay. And I got a scholarship, and the opportunity was you could fly anywhere around the world to do whatever you wanted. Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, if I don't want to do politics, I'm going to do business. And literally, if you take a globe, and I love traveling around the world, but if you take a globe, put your finger on Atlanta, Georgia, close your eyes and spin it halfway around the world. On the other side, I'm not sure if that's longitude or latitude, whatever it is. If you put your finger on the other side, the furthest place you can fly is Hong Kong. Okay. So I literally sat my parents down and said, right before graduating, the summer before this, I'm going to do an internship. I'm going to fly to Hong Kong, and I'm going to try to get a job. Yeah. And they're like, wait, excuse me, like, you've never been out of the country, what are you going to do? I didn't have a job when I landed. I literally talked my way into a job at Merrill Lynch, doing investment banking for a summer with all Ivy League kids. And I was like the one dude from the South, from the University of Georgia. that literally talked his way into getting a job.
And
was
I
like,
believe it. That is completely your story. Your life.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, if I can land this job, life will be great.
Yeah.
Because you'll make the money, you'll have the prestige, you got it on your resume. And what I ended up doing and figuring out was I worked 18 hours a day,
Yeah.
6.5 days a week. And in that one summer, I watched my boss miss he and his wife's anniversary and his 4-year-old daughter's birthday.
Oh, wow.
And I said,
It's like, no.
I never want to be that husband, and I never want to be that father.
Yeah.
And I don't care how much money you make, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
The interesting thing on the flip side is because you work 18 hours a day, you take all the money that you make, you put it in the bank because you never have time to spend it.
Yeah.
So at the end of the summer, I had a job offer, which is, for a guy from the University of Georgia, when you're looking around all the Harvard, Stanford, and MIT, and all these kids working there, and I got the job offer to either go and work in Merrill Lynch in Hong Kong, or New York, or London, or wherever.
Yeah.
I had to take that moment, and I was like, am I going to choose courage, what I really feel in my heart I should do, or am I going to take comfort in what the world probably says is the smart thing to do? And in my 10 seconds of insane courage, I walked into my boss's office, and I quit. I said, I can't do it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want the job offer. I don't want the rest of this internship. I'm finished.
And the money,
with
do you
banking.
mind me asking, how much money did they offer you?
Yeah, so we made $20,000 in 10 weeks. So $2,000 a week, literally, for an entire summer. I worked 10 weeks, 20 grand, pocketed it, put it away. And then we had kind of a bonus when we signed on for the summer as well.
Right.
So I made about $30,000 in the summer.
In 10 weeks.
In 10 weeks.
Good money.
Good money. 30 grand, 10 weeks. As a college kid, it's I don't even think my mom made 30 grand in a year, right?
It's
and I'm like, that's crazy money. And so what I decided to do was, I had the money, I knew I didn't want to do that as a career, but if I could do anything, what would I want to do?
Yeah.
So again, call mom and dad, so I hope you're sitting down. Got one more thing to say. They're like, oh,
your parents are
Garrett,
stressing. They're like, no more calls from Garrett.
And so, after taking 10 seconds of insane courage and saying no to the opportunity in Hong Kong in investment banking, I said yes to, I had always wanted to travel, volunteer, and go to Africa.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I knew nothing about Africa or volunteering or any of that stuff. But I called mom and dad and said, I'm not coming back to the U.S. I'm taking a year off of school.
I didn't know that.
I took a year off of school.
You took a year off.
Year off of school.
That's
moved
courage.
to Kenya, volunteered in an AIDS orphanage in the middle of Africa. Again,
Cool.
I'm a white dude from the South. I don't know anything about AIDS kids, Africa orphanages, nothing.
None of the above.
Nothing.
Cool.
I'm just being honest. That's the real stuff that entrepreneurs don't tell you. They're I had it figured out, 90-day plan, 1 year. No. And I literally went into an AIDS orphanage. It was 100 degrees outside, 80 little kids, no moms, no dads, no nothing. I'm the lanky white guy walking in, personality, want to help out, don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And the first day I was there, I met this little boy. His name was Martin.
Oh, my
10 years old, big, huge, orange baggy shirt, Tennessee Volunteer orange, bright as can be, huge pants are way too big for him, a belt that he pulled as tight as he can, put on the fifth thing, he would tighten his little pants. He came running over to me. None of the kids could pronounce Garrett.
Yeah.
They couldn't say Gravesen, my initials, so they called me Gigi. So Gigi,
That's
my
where
initials.
Gigi came from.
So everyone, all my friends call me Gigi. Can't pronounce Garrett, can't say Gravesen. They call me Gigi. Came from the kids in Africa. Instagram's Gigi Worldwide, because I kind of in their honor, just always kept the idea of the name.
Yeah.
And on that day, as I was leaving, this little boy, 10 years old, Martin, looks me straight in the eye, kind of grabs the bottom of my shirt, and he goes, Gigi, everyone says they'll be back. Will you really come back and see us? And on that day, at that time, in that moment, your 10 seconds of insane courage. Am I going to stay? Am I going to go? Am I going to commit or am I going to leave? What am I really going to do in this moment?
Right.
And in that moment, in my 10 seconds of insane courage, I said yes. And
you meant it.
And I meant it, and it was, I didn't know what I was doing. And I think the funny thing about entrepreneurship is did you have a plan in place? Did you know what you were going to do to volunteer? Were you going to raise money? Going to put together? No, I had no idea what I was going to do. But I knew that I wanted to help and I wanted to give back. And I think if you're genuine and you're sincere and people can see that in you, then kind of people rally around that. And I'm one guy in the middle of an orphanage in the middle of Nairobi, Kenya. But this one little boy at this one moment in time asked if I was going to come back, and I said yes.
Yeah.
And days turned into weeks weeks turned into months, and before you know it, that's how I ended up staying in Africa for an entire year. And I loved it. And I fell in love with these kids and their stories, and they had no moms, they had no dads, and I kind of became not just like a big brother, but like a father figure to like 80 kids in the middle of Africa. And I said, I think, not being crazy religious, but I think sometimes the good Lord puts you in certain places for certain reasons, and whatever you believe, like I think sometimes you're put in places for reasons. And my reason in that moment was to be with these kids and like soften my heart from like the hardcore investment banker to like getting back to who I was as a person. And I loved it. And I love these kids. I love this little boy named Martin. And after being there for an entire year, after getting to know this kid like so much, I love this little guy. And as I'm leaving to fly home, so I had to come back to UGA. I had to graduate from school.
Right. Because you're a student.
Because I'm still a student. I was going to be a mighty fifth-year senior. I was like taking the fifth year. Instead of like going to football games, I'm like in the middle of Africa, like not knowing what I'm doing. But I made a commitment to this little guy. As I'm leaving, he goes, Gigi, he goes, I want you to make me a promise. He goes, I want you to promise that you'll always remember me. And so Martin and I give each other like a big high five and a bear hug. And I go back to the U.S. like with a man with like his soul on fire, committed to this cause of kids with HIV and AIDS who lost their parents. And we have those same children here in the United States, here in Georgia. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I know nothing about HIV and AIDS in the U.S. or anything like that. But it turns out in Atlanta we have the second highest rate of pediatric AIDS, only behind New York City.
It's crazy. So
I committed to come back, figure out what I could do, and I want to start an NGO, so a nonprofit organization, to help kids in the U.S. with HIV and AIDS and their quality of life. Again, had no idea what I was going to do. No idea how I was going to do it.
No clue.
But I got back to UGA. University of Georgia has the 10th largest football stadium in America. We have like 90,000 people that go to the game every Saturday in the fall, cheer on our beloved Georgia Bulldogs. And every year they pick one person to stand inside the stadium with a microphone and give a speech at graduation. And 30,000 people come, and I got selected to tell my story. So I was the UGA graduation speaker.
They didn't choose me.
You know what? I don't know why. You would have done a better job than me. And again, in that moment, did I have the courage to tell my real story? That I thought life was going to be great if I made a lot of money, went to Hong Kong, and took the job. Because that's what life tells you to do. Make the money, take it, go for it, it's easy. And did I actually have the courage in that moment with a microphone and 30,000 people to say, in front of all of you as my witness, I'm going to start a charity for kids with HIV and AIDS. And on that day, with that microphone in front of that many people, I said that I wanted to start a charity where every single person could be a hero for someone or something in life. And I created, started, and launched the organization in front of 30,000 people on graduation day.
There's no better time.
Called H.E.R.O for Children. H.E.R.O is an acronym called Hearts Everywhere Reaching Out for Children. And my basic idea was, can we take what Big Brother, Big Sister did for people in the communities to become big brothers and big sisters for kids with HIV and AIDS? They need role models, they need mentors, they need summer camps and Christmas presents, all these fun things, but they really need someone as a starting point. And on that day, again, not having a clue what I was going to do or how it was going to work or where I was going to find the kids or get the mentors or do any of this, I launched it with 10 seconds of insane courage. And that was my first start into entrepreneurship. And it was not easy. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I didn't even know how I was going to fund it. I didn't even know if there was funding or people would ever do this. And so the joke was that literally I graduated and moved straight back home. And I lived at home, honestly, until I was 30 years old.
Okay, so love that point because obviously very similar in the sense like I graduated, started the business 2 weeks later. But have been living at home in order for me to do my business full time, right?
100%.
So again, like you, people see like, oh, Michelle gets to travel. Oh, Michelle like has her business. She has everything figured out. Not quite. Not quite. So you were living at home. So tell me what that, how that experience is.
And so first of all, you're doing a nonprofit, not a for-profit, which means the money you make, yes, you can pay yourself, but really you want to invest it back in the organization. And so, I kid you not, the first 3 years out of college, we paid ourselves $500 a month, which, quick math, $6,000 a year, which means the federal poverty level in the United States of America, which means you get food stamps, is about $18,000 or less. I made a third of that.
No, it's so funny. This year I was adding up. I was like, oh shoot, I'm pretty sure I qualify for government assistance.
Of course.
Like I should apply.
And people, you maybe got some style and swagger, and you go to the events and the charity things and all that. And then you go home.
And then I go home.
To like your parents' basement, if you're lucky enough they have a basement.
Yeah.
I like live with my dad. We had like a 2-bedroom, and I'm like in one, he's in the other. He's like, is my kid ever gonna move out? Like literally.
Yeah.
And so what's crazy, what I want entrepreneurs to know is like, I've now started 3 different companies.
Yeah.
Each one raised over $1 million. $1 million in charity funding, $1 million in study abroad, and $1 million, in recurring revenue from my clients. 3 times. I'm now on my 3rd company.
Yeah.
All 3 are still running. The charity's still going. The study abroad company called Global Lead, where I took students 6 weeks at a time doing leadership and service in South Africa, still going.
Yeah.
New company called ADDO, leadership consulting firm, still going. But I've had to learn so much over the years, and it's always been a sacrifice, honestly, to a lot of like my fun, my travel, my going out, my paycheck. Because you just don't make money at the beginning. And leadership is hard, and you have to live at home, and entrepreneurship is not easy, and you don't half the time not know what you're doing. Most of the time you don't know what you're doing. And I think that's the secret. Like, it's okay to not know what you're doing. And fake it till you make it. And you keep doing it.
You keep doing it, and sometimes you can get discouraged, because even for me, like, I have friends who have full-time jobs, so they have a salary, they have 401ks. I'm like, oh, okay, eventually I'll have some retirement planning, but now they can buy cars, they can buy houses, and and sometimes you can get caught up in comparison, like, and I'm still living at home. But that's the sacrifice I'm willing to make, to do what I love, to build what I love, and then knowing I have a vision for something so much greater, right? So short-term sacrifices, which I am making, you have already made, and it's paying off. It really makes a world of difference.
And it's hard to look at it when you're 2 years out of college, but when you're 12 years out of college like me, so I've got 10 years on you. And I think, now I can look back and do an interview and look nice and say, hey, here's some wisdom. The wisdom is, in those moments, do you have the 10 seconds of insane courage to choose courage over comfort? Because comfort gets you the new car, gets you the new outfit, gets you the new pair of shoes, gets you the new fun pair of socks.
I can't even get a manicure right now. It's real.
And it's hard because life teaches us to like kind of, hey, stay in your lane, stay in your boundary. Don't get too far to the left, too far to the right, too crazy, and life is kind of designed for like, hey, like, let's all kind of keep moving in the same direction. If you get too far off the path, there's no real guidelines. There's no one to really help you. There's no advice. And so, you have to find and reach out to fellow entrepreneurs to even figure out, how do I even do this stuff? And the thing is, most entrepreneurs, they're just kind of making it up as they go along, but they have the courage to keep going.
My life,
And the thing is, are you going to continually have the courage to keep going? And if you do, eventually you'll figure it out. But it's a long game. It is a long game. And if you think that you're going to be partying in the Hamptons on a yacht, drinking rosé every summer, like 2 summers in, that ain't happening. Like, that may be 10 years in, that may be 20 years in, but you are not popping bottles at the club.
I haven't popped a bottle yet.
In a long time. In a long time. And maybe your friends can do it, and they can invite you because you're the fun one with the cool stories and you're actually giving back. But you ain't going to be buying those bottles, and you're probably not going to be going to the Hamptons, and you're not going to be cruising around a yacht in the south of France. But like, that's the idea of what people think is like, oh, well, Zuckerberg's a billionaire, Elon Musk did this. No, Elon Musk sold his stake, when they sold PayPal, the PayPal mafia. Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn. It was, Peter Thiel, that has an investment firm that invests in Facebook. It was Elon Musk that was part of this PayPal mafia. Elon Musk got $180 million from his payout from PayPal. He put $100 million in, like renewable energy, so like, SpaceX, all that stuff, and $80 million in Tesla. And the next month had to borrow money for rent. $100 million in renewable energy, which is like changing the game in that. $80 million in Tesla. And he had to borrow the next month's money for rent. Like, that's what entrepreneurs do. It's like, I'm all in on my goal. Well, now Elon Musk is a super billionaire. It's easy to talk about. He's the inspiration for Iron Man. But did he have the courage to do it.
Yeah.
Or could he say, $180 million, I'm going to cash out, I'm done. No. He put it into this, and kept going.
Yeah.
And that is so hard to do, choose courage over comfort.
Yeah, and I think, there's different levels and degrees
Sure.
of your courage, right?
Yeah.
Because so many times you only hear the Elon Musk stories.
Right.
But they don't hear the Garrett and Michelle stories,
Sure.
which is more common, right? This
right.
is the journey that so many other people are on, So really interesting.
Yeah.
I love it. And like you said, you were like, yeah, we have so many commonalities, and that's so true.
Yeah, and I love your story as well. It's like you're gonna do something that's like part of your core and fabric, but there's also going to be like kind of an element of giving back to society, or giving back to others, or giving back to females, or giving back to like whatever you're passionate about. And again, it's a long game.
It's a long game.
It's a long game where. A lot of times you're just not going to make the money that your friends have. You may have the experiences. You're probably going to have better stories at the bar when you grab drinks.
A lot of stories. Great stories.
Tons of stories, but stories don't pay the bills.
Nope.
Stories don't pay the bills.
Press doesn't pay the bills either.
It doesn't. And so they see the glamorous lifestyle that, you're in a photo shoot, you're in a magazine, you're on TV, you got interviewed for something. But it doesn't pay the bills.
But I have to eat. I can't eat paper, unfortunately.
And it is tough. It's tough to swallow your ego, swallow your pride.
Yeah.
I mean, I've literally, when I was running H.E.R.O for Children, the charity for kids with HIV and AIDS, I would go to galas and events and all these things where I would literally, because I'm living at home, I drove a crappy car, the door would half the time fall off, the window wouldn't roll up, and the air conditioning didn't work. And I'm like, every time I'd go pick up my date for a gala, I'd be like, no, let me pick you up at your place. Definitely don't see that I live at home. Can we use your car or Uber because my car doesn't like? And I'm like, it's so embarrassing, right?
It's
so embarrassing.
It's so much to it.
But it's but then when you show up at the gala, you get stressed now. You show up at the front stores, you're the coolest person there.
We are the coolest people.
But then you're going back home to live at your parents.
Yeah. I'm waking up and doing work in my mama's kitchen, i.e. Benet headquarters.
Of course.
And that's so real. Yeah.
And it's really, really tough. And I just think that as someone that's literally started now 3 different companies and now starting to be successful.
Yeah.
I was successful as in impact, giving back, helping children with HIV and AIDS. Doesn't necessarily pay the bills.
Right.
I was successful as in the next company was called Global Lead. We got to take American students overseas for 6 weeks at a time. And I got to travel to South Africa and Greece and Australia, New Zealand. I got to be a professor and teach leadership.
Cool.
Doesn't really pay the bills, but you get to be on Instagram famous and super cool, all these fun places.
Yeah.
Finally, I figured out after the 3rd try this new company called ADDO, Leadership Consulting, only because we have a huge client, Chick-fil-A, that we partner with, get to do a lot of their leadership, development, curriculum, programming, started Chick-fil-A Leader Academy, that we have a paying client.
Yeah.
I'm 10 years into this journey.
No.
I'm 3
You're
companies
deep
into
in
this
the
journey.
game.
I'm
Deep
deep
in the
I'm
game.
hard in the paint at this point.
Hard in the paint.
And finally, do you get to have the stories and have a paycheck?
Yeah.
Have the stories and have a Before, I had all kinds of good stories.
Yeah.
For the
Content
paycheck.
for days.
Yeah, content for days, But it's tough. It is really, really tough. And it is a long game. And I just see a lot of these entrepreneurs, it's sexy to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But after you figure out how freaking hard it is for a year, 18 months, it's maybe it's better just to go back, get the 401k, buy the new car, get the fancy outfits, live the easy life.
Yeah.
Because entrepreneurship is not easy.
Yeah. And you just have to really, I think, Simon Sinek, and you start with why.
Yep.
You really have to have such a strong why. And it can't be for the money. It can't be for, the bottles, popping bottles, because that's not going to hold you over.
Yeah.
It's really not. And so I love that. I love that so much. Now, you just graduated HBS, Harvard Business School. Cool. Right? Things I need to add to my list, which is amazing.
Thank you.
So I think a lot of entrepreneurs are formal education, informal education, pros and cons of that. What was your decision? What made you go to HBS, and how did that impact you in growing your
To be honest, I wanted to go to Harvard out of high school. So did my girlfriend. She got in and I didn't.
Oh.
Crushed me. And so I probably always had a chip on my shoulder that I always wanted to go to Harvard, if I'm being very honest. Do you need formal education as an entrepreneur? No. Does it help with contacts? Absolutely.
For sure.
So for me, it was honestly probably Harvard or bust. If I didn't get into Harvard Business School, I probably wasn't going to go. But that was just a personal thing where I honestly kind of always loved Harvard. Always had this love affair with Harvard since high school, going through college, saw my friends go. Are there other schools that are fantastic? Absolutely. Do you need to go to a place like Harvard Business School? No. But the interesting thing about Harvard is there's so many international people that get in, people that go, like just completely different ways of thinking. That MIT is going to be really centered on technology, Stanford around innovation, Harvard really around leadership. And so Harvard produces what they call people that want to change the world. A lot of times they're CEOs of companies, but real thought leaders. Yeah. And so I said if I could ever get into a place and be an alumni of Harvard Business School, just the connections you would have.
The connections are invaluable.
Invaluable. And I knew from an early age, I didn't want to go to Harvard and then go into investment banking. I didn't want to go do private equity. I didn't want to work in a hedge fund. I saw that at Merrill Lynch when I was 20, and I said, I'm getting out of the game. I don't want to do that. I don't want to work for Goldman. I don't want to work for McKinsey. I don't want to do any of that. I want to come back to Atlanta. I want to help run my leadership consulting firm called ADDO. Yeah. I want to build out that leadership can be cool, fun, trendy, and engaging for this next generation. Yeah. If I can help make leadership cool, fun, and sexy, which I'm trying, that you can do what you want without having to go down the path that a lot of people go down, right? And listen, can you make a ton more money doing investment banking, private equity, working at Goldman, absolutely. For sure. But that's not my path. Yeah. That's not what I want to do. So I went to Harvard Business School and I said, hey, I'm going to do my path. I'm going to be me. And I met so many interesting people that it's kind of like the grass is always greener. I look at them because they make tons of money. Yeah. They look at me, it's like, dude, you were literally in Cape Town, South Africa last week, and you're going to Cuba next weekend. Yeah. Because I get to lead leadership trips. I get to go on these different odysseys. I get to write leadership curriculum. I love that. It's me. I could probably never sit behind a desk, trade stocks, and figure out where to put.
That's the scariest thing for me. I don't know how to do that.
I don't either. I wouldn't even be good at it,
Don't hire me. Actually, I shouldn't say that.
No.
But
hire her to do interviews with interesting people, put it together as content, and then repurpose it. That's what you should do. Absolutely. But no, and again, I am very blessed, knock on wood, that, to call Harvard Business School, be an alumni, it's cool, Did I learn so much from the formal education side of it? No, but did I learn a lot of interesting things from my classmates from the Harvard experience? Yes, absolutely,
For sure.
So, do you need formal education, an MBA per se, as an entrepreneur? No, but does it help with contacts, interesting ways of thinking, and kind of a global network?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Awesome. Okay, so as we close up, I always have to ask everyone, music motivates me. That's what gets me going, that gets me in the mood of I'm about to kill this. Whatever life brings, whatever life throws at me, I got this. So give me that one song lyric that motivates you and keep you going.
So before I answer that, which I will, I always go to 2 concerts every year, Jay-Z and Lionel Richie. I have no idea what that says about me, but old school Lionel, man, he can just bring it. I love it. He always performs here in Atlanta, and then Jay-Z at some point I'm in some crazy city. So so I always go to Jay-Z's concerts. I've got to see him and Beyonce.
You should take me.
Listen, I can bring Hove and Bay. We can do that. And I love Lionel Richie because he's just old school. He just brings it, and I love him. So I always make sure to go to those 2 concerts every single year. But I remember right before I gave my speech to the 30,000 people to launch the idea of H.E.R.O, very first organization. I literally remember, as if it was yesterday, I was driving to the stadium, super nervous, turn on the radio, and Eminem's song came on, Lose Yourself. It was you better lose yourself in the music, the moment, you better own it, you better never let it go, you only get one shot, do not miss your chance to blow, that whole thing. And I'm okay, first of all, I can't rap like Eminem, obviously, but I was I just love that, you've got one shot, do not miss your chance, and so Eminem's Lose Yourself, that song brings me back to that moment, and in that moment I really look back and I'm really proud of choosing courage over comfort, taking those 10 seconds of insane courage, and that's my one thing that I'll leave everybody with. So Eminem, Lose Yourself was the answer, but if I could leave anyone with one piece of advice is life is made up of moments, and in those moments choose 10 seconds of insane courage, to choose courage over comfort, and then 10 years later, I think your future self will be proud of you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And
Yeah.
again, I do see a lot of me in you, a lot of you in me.
Sure.
But I love your story and I love your spirit. And Gigi, thank you for making time for me. You know, social life.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Have it going, and I wish you well with everything else.
Thank you so much. We'll be in touch. Yes, follow me, Gigi Worldwide on Instagram.
Awesome.